forget about the gospel and the epistles and all the letters in the New Testament. This the new covenant, congregation of Israel. We authenticator, seeking out the lost sheep of the house of Yehuda, singing praises to Yahweh and his son Yeshua. Now all the men of Israel rise on up. We say the commandments. Look, mama, no fringes. His mercy endures forever. Blessed to see another Sabbath, the Sabbath day of the week, where all his saints gather. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom, my sister. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, Judah. Shabbat shalom, Yisrael. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Lead the world out there. Sisters, cover your hair. Brothers, gird your loin. Deacon, blow the ram's horn. Now sit back and listen. What the Spirit saying to the churches. Keep His commandments, law, statutes, and judgments. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. Whoever said the law was done away with Israel, they lied. What part of forever that they don't understand? As it is written, His saints will take the land. Now invite the angel that stand at the door to come in and sup with us, and us with Him as we read out of this great legacy. The greatest love story ever told, more valuable than silver and gold. Many are called, but few are chose. Yahweh willing, we make it home. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom, my sister. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, Judah. Shabbat shalom, Israel. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom, my sister. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, Judah. Shabbat shalom, Israel. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom, my sister. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, Judah. Shabbat shalom, Israel. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. We read it, not the Torah. We read it from the prophets, the wisdom books and the Psalms. Can't forget about the gospel and the epistles and all the letters in the New Testament. This the new covenant, congregation of Israel. We authenticator, seeking out the lost sheep of the house of Yehuda, singing praises to Yahweh and his son Yeshua. Now all the men of Israel rise on up. We say the commandments. Look, mama, no fringes. His mercy endures forever. Blessed to see another Sabbath, the Sabbath day of the week, where all his saints gather. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom, my sister. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, Judah. Shabbat shalom, Yisrael. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Lead the world out there. Sisters, cover your hair. Brothers, gird your loin. Deacon, blow the ram's horn. Now sit back and listen. What the Spirit saying to the churches. Keep His commandments, law, statutes, and judgments. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. Whoever said the law was done away with Israel, they lied. What part of forever that they don't understand? As it is written, His saints will take the land. Now invite the angel that stand at the door to come in and sup with us. And us with him as we read out of this great legacy. The greatest love story ever told. More valuable than silver and gold. Many are called, but few are chose. Yahweh willing, we make it home. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom, my sister. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, Judah. Shabbat shalom, Israel. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom, my sister. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Shabbat shalom, Judah. Shabbat shalom, Israel. This means peace on Yahweh's Sabbath. Beyond the surface, beyond the surface, beyond the surface, beyond the surface. The prince of this wicked world, the god of confusion. Got black folk experiencing strong delusions. Got ears that can't hear, mouths that won't speak, eyes that can't see that this curse is so deep. Deaf, dumb, and blind, committing sin, crime, repent. Oh, Israel, we're running out of precious time in the land where they saying Yahweh is dead. And you wondering why the innocent blood is shed. That's cause Satan's in the earth, he's walking to and fro, doing what he's told, beating his status quo. Tempting man with pleasure and wickedness, denying the master, saying don't keep his commandments. Our wisdom and our knowledge in the sight of nations, but you love earthly riches than salvation. That means get safety from tribulation and wrath. The broad way leads to death, and narrow is the path. Preach the gospel, spread the good news. The son of Elohim, Yahshua, king of the Jews. Not king of the Christians, that's when they do Christ like. They criminals of Yahweh, outlaws in his sight. Same-sex marriage is okay with the president. That old serpent, the devil, is controlling the government. No prayer in the school system, no truth in the black churches. That's food in our neighborhoods, children killing with no mercy. Look beyond the surface and show yourself approved. Do your own research, seek the spirit of truth. Beyond the surface, beyond the surface, beyond the surface.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the Beyond the Surface program. My name is Joseph ben Israel, and I am the elder priest of the Cultural Center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel. We're located at 3901A Covenant Highway in Decatur, Georgia, 30032. Our phone number is 404-286-5869. The website is www.thencci.org. Again, welcome to the Beyond the Surface program. Today's topic is how to escape slavery. Let me repeat that. The title of this Beyond the Surface program is How to Escape Slavery. Now, if you watched this program before, you know you must have your Bibles out to follow along with what we're talking about today. Without slave labor, America would never have existed. But slavery was common throughout history before America. The Bible speaks about the enslavement of the children of Israel before they became a nation. They were enslaved by the ancient Egyptians. But the reason for their enslavement was out of fear of the children of Israel being more and mightier than the Egyptians. But most people that were enslaved was because of war, debt bondage, or criminal punishment. But the enslavement of black people here in America was not because of war or indebtedness or criminal punishment. Black people were enslaved because of business. White Americans saw the potential of being a great and powerful country with free labor, and it worked. America right now is the most powerful country in the world because of the enslavement of black people. When the Africans sold black people to white Americans, they did not sell their own people into slavery. They sold their slaves into slavery. This means that the Africans and black people are not the same. But Yahweh saw how the Egyptians treated the children of Israel and was not pleased. Let's start this off in Exodus chapter 1, verse 13 and 14. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. The word rigor means harshness. But one thing about this enslavement of our fathers under the Egyptians, unlike the American slavery, our father didn't try to escape from the Egyptian slavery, but here in America, this slavery was so brutal and painful that black people tried to escape America at every chance. That's why you have what they call the Underground Railroad, because this was a slavery unseen before in man's history, the way they treated black slaves here in America. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 22 to verse 24. 21 verse 22, verse 24. And Moshe was content to dwell with the man. He's talking about Jethro. And he gave Moshe Zipporah, his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of the bondage. And Elohim heard their groanings, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, and with Isaac, and with Jacob. And Elohim looked upon the children of Israel, and Elohim had respect unto them. So Yahweh saw what the Egyptians were doing to his people, and he had respect unto them. Let's go to Exodus 3, verse 1 to verse 9. Again, we're talking about our first enslavement. We were slaves to the Egyptians. This is Exodus 3, verse 1 to verse 9. And now Moshe kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of Elohim, even to Horeb. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, I will now turn aside to see this great sight, while the bush is not burnt. And when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see, Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not near hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim of thy father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob. And Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon Elohim. And Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Now, if he saw that back in those days, what do you think he's seeing today? Let's go to Exodus chapter 6, verse 1 to verse 7. Then Yahweh said unto Moshe, Now shalt thou see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And Elohim spake unto Moshe, and said unto him, I am Yahweh. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of the Elohim Almighty, but by my name Yahweh was I not known to them. And I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groanings of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am Yahweh, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgments. And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you an Elohim, and you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. So again, we were people that before we were even a nation, we were slaves. But when Yahweh brought our fathers out of slavery into the land of Canaan, this is the first time in history that slaves owned land. They had their own government. So we got the same situation here, except Yahweh helped our fathers out of slavery under the Egyptians. But who shall help us out of America? Well, first of all, black people don't want to leave America. As a matter of fact, when you continue reading in Exodus, the children of Israel got upset with Moshe for bringing them out of the slavery in Egypt, and they wanted to go back. Well, you got the same mindset with black people here in America. They feel like America's my home, and I'm never going to leave here. And they say that it's gone on even further by some people saying that America is the land of Israel. And the Mississippi River is a Nile River. And they're equating what they have, what our fathers had in Israel to America. But America was not promised to the children of Israel. So if you call yourself a Moor, or you call yourself part of the indigenous people here, you deceive yourself. That means you want to remain a slave. If you were originally here, if you were Moor, how did you lose control of America? Why is it that you have white people running America and you're not? You know why? Because you're still a slave. I don't care what you call yourself, you are still a slave. And you have nowhere else to go. You can't imagine living nowhere else but America. So you're still a slave no matter how you put it. You may not be a slave under bondage or under servitude, but nevertheless, you do not run America. You were here first, but you still don't run America. If you ran America, how did you lose it? No. This is not our land. We come from far, far away. Now, if you don't identify with the people of the book, then you're not the people of the book. You are someone else. Yahweh doesn't care anything about you. But he cares about his people Israel, just like we read about here in the book of Exodus. Because Yahweh said, I've seen what the Egyptians have done to my people. And I'm going to bring them out and give them their own land. So, by reading this book, we understand that we don't belong here in America. We have our own land. That land is still there. The land hadn't changed. The people in the land have changed. They don't belong there in our land. That land was given to us by covenant unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel. That's our land over there. The land of Israel, that's our land. That's where we come from. Let's continue. Because a lot of black people don't understand that. They think Again, they think America's their home, but it's not, never have been. If it was, why were you brought over here as slaves on slave ships if this is your land? How is it that they enslaved you? Did they not know that you owned America, that you were here first? Why didn't white people realize that you were the original inhabitants and that this land belongs to you? Why? Why didn't they acknowledge that? Because they're the ones that started the transatlantic slave trade, and they brought you over here to America to be their slaves. No matter how you look at it, you may say, well, we were here first. No, it doesn't matter. Because a bunch of people came over here from the west coast of Africa and became slaves to these white people. So where were you at that time? Did you have your own town? Did you have your own language? Did you have your own God? No. So you're just blowing smoke. So you stay here if you want to. But according to the prophecies written about in the Bible, America is about to be destroyed. So you stay here. Because the Bible warns anybody that stays here in America, you will be killed. So go ahead and die here then. Because you won't be coming into the promised land. But believe it or not, the children of Israel, also known as black people today, once freed from the Egyptian slavery, also owned slaves. Did you know that? Did you realize, do you know that we owned slaves back in the day? Because you're so used to being slaves in America that you don't realize that you used to own slaves. So don't get mad at white people because they enslaved you. You had slaves too. Your forefathers had slaves. Let's go to Leviticus 25, verse 44 to verse 46. Leviticus 25, verse 44 to verse 46. Now this is Moshe, again, telling the children of Israel the boundaries of their slaves. Listen to what he said. Now they're getting ready to go into the land. He's letting them know this is how you deal with the people of the land. In verse 44, this is Leviticus 25, verse 44 to verse 46. Both thy bondmen and thy bondwomen, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall you buy bondmen and bondmaids. You understand the terminology of bondman and bondmaid? That is a slave. A bondman and a bondwoman are slaves. I mean, that's the way the translators put it in the book. They could have easily used the word slavery, but they called them bondmen, somebody that's under bondage. So again, keep that in mind that our fathers, let me read that again. It says, let me read like we would read it. Both thy slave man and thy slave woman, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall you buy slave men and slave women. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall you buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. We own people. Believe it or not, we own people. And you shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen and forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule one another with rigor. So he said, you can't enslave your own people. You enslave the people around you. I mean, he's giving them instructions on who can be a slave and who cannot be a slave. But the point is that our fathers had slaves also. Now you've heard about the first slave owners in America. The first slave owner in America was a black man. Well, it's true. White folk didn't own slaves. First, it was a black man that owned slaves. So we had a history in our law that we could own slaves. And I'm going to tell you something else. It's coming back. Slavery is coming back, according to the prophecies. let's go to Leviticus 19, verse 20 to verse 22. Leviticus 19, verse 20 to verse 22. And whosoever lieth carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid, betrothed unto her husband, and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto Yahweh, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before Yahweh for his sin which he had done, and his sin which he had done shall be forgiven him. Now, this said that this bondwoman, this slave woman, was betrothed to her husband. So if she wasn't betrothed to her husband, if she wasn't a slave woman, then this man would be committing adultery. And he would have been put to death, him and her. But she was a slave. So that sin of adultery didn't apply to that case. Now compare that to here in America, the enslavement of Yahweh's people here in America. The white master could do anything he wanted with a slave woman, whether she was married or not. There's nothing that the slave man could do. He had no power. And if he stood up to the white man, he would have been killed. So the white man had access to the slave black woman. And she didn't do it willingly, but she had no power. Today, black women crave white men. They love white men. They want to be a white man's wife. And they hate their own men. Now we know it's because of the white man that black people have turned against one another. Because this is the most terrible enslavement in human history, that you purposely turn your slaves against one another to maintain control. Because once black people become one, that's when white people get scared. So they had to keep the confusion up to maintain the slave mindset. And that it was made worse after the civil rights movement. Because now black people want to integrate with white people, and when they did that, that's when the white man had extreme access to the black woman. So now she'd rather not be married unless she was married to a white man. That's why there's no marriages in the black neighborhood, because she deep inside wants to marry a white man and have them little caramel children with that good hair. Now just a little information there. Let's go to 1 Kings 9, verse 20 to verse 22. 1 Kings 9, verse 20 to verse 22. Now, this is the time of King Shalom building the temple. All right? Listen to what it says. And all the people that were left of the Amorites and the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, which were not of the children of Israel, their children that were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel also were not able to utterly destroy, upon those that Shlomo levied a tribute of bond service unto this day. But of the children of Israel did Shlomo make no bondman, but they were men of war, and his servants, and his princes, and his captains, and rulers of his chariots, and his horsemen. So Shlomo was making slaves of the people according to the law, of the people that are around them. So he enslaved people. You heard of King Solomon and the wisdom of King Solomon. Did you know he had slaves? The people of the book had slaves. But you're upset with white people because you were their slaves? When you had slaves yourself in your history? Because you're upset with white people, you don't even know your own history. You think your history started over here in America. No. Your history started thousands of years ago. You are an ancient people. You have forgotten who you were. And you have forgotten where you come from. But in your history, black people, you had slaves. This Bible is your history book, and it tells you, yes, you had slaves too. Let's continue. Let's go to Deuteronomy 21, verse 10 to verse 14. Deuteronomy 21, verse 10 to verse 14. When thou goest to war against thine enemies, and Yahweh thy Elohim hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldst have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put on the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother in a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. Now, it didn't say he had to give her a writing of divorcement, because she's not of the women of Israel. But she was a captive, and he apparently got tired of it, and so he can let her go free. He doesn't have to sell her. Let's continue. But there's another kind of slavery that is not physical, but spiritual. Let's look at Romans chapter 6, verse 12 to verse 23. Romans chapter 6, verse 12 to verse 23. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield you your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto Elohim as those that are truly alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto Elohim. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under the law, but under grace. Now, most Christians will stop right there. They'll read that one verse and conclude Paul was referring to the whole law. We're talking about the whole Torah, from Genesis to Deuteronomy. That's what most black Christians believe. But no, you haven't read the law. The law is divided up into different sections. You had the commandments, you had the law, you had the dietary law, you got the cleanliness law, you had the law of we had different portions of the law, so he's not talking about the whole law. The law he's talking about was a law of animal sacrifices. That's what he was referring to when he said you're not under law, you're under grace, because you have a law that told us about the animal sacrifice, what the animal sacrifices were for. It was for sin and for any trespass against Yahweh. Really? No, I mean, I think somebody messed with the clock, man. It can't be that quick. All right. Who that guy? Let's continue. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? Elohim forbid. Know you not that whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants you are to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. But Elohim we thank that you were the servants of sin, but you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you. Being then made free from sin, you became the servants of righteousness. I speak after the manner of men because of the infirmity of your flesh. For as you have yielded your members servants to uncleanness and to iniquity unto iniquity, even so now yield your members servants to righteousness unto holiness. For when you were servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. What fruit had you then in those things whereof you are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. But now being made free from sin and become servants to Elohim, You have your fruit unto holiness, and the end everlasting life. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of Elohim is eternal life through Yeshua HaMashiach our Adonai. Listen what it says here. For the wages of sin is death. Now, Christians say, well, we have no more sin because Christ died for our sins. Well, Paul says the wages of sin is death. People still die. That means sin is still here. You Christians still die, which means you are still sinful people. And you're not even trying to be less sinful. You do everything that you can to be a sinful people. Let me stop here and invite you out to the Cultural Center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel. We are located at 3901A Covenant Highway, Indicator, Georgia 30032. Our phone number is 404-286-5869. And the website is www.thencci.org. We have a prophecy class every first day of the week, which is Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. Come on out and join us and read about the prophecies that are written about in this Bible. And if you cannot join us in person, you can join us on Facebook and YouTube. We also have our history class every third day of the week, which is Tuesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Come on out and learn about your history. The Bible is your history book. And you can ask all the questions you want about what's written in the Bible. If you cannot join us in person, you can join us on Facebook and on YouTube. We have a sisters-only class every fifth day of the week, which is Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. You can reach the sisters on Zoom. And lastly, we have a Sabbath service every seventh day of the week, which is Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m. Come on out and see what it is like to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. If you cannot join us in person, you can join us on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's continue. Let's go to, again, we're looking at the spiritual enslavement. So you're enslaved to sin. Let's continue. Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 19 to verse 21. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 19 to verse 21. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are also the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought in bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Adonai and Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning. But it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the holy covenant commandment delivered unto them. Let me read this last verse. I said 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. I'm going to read verse 22 also. But it has happened unto them, according to the true proverb, the dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the child that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. So if you heard this word here, and you still want to be a Christian, then it's best that you don't hear this word. Because once you understand what this word is saying, you can never go back to being a Christian. But that's not saying it's impossible. But you should never want to go back to being slaves to the white man's God. That's what you are. Let's continue. Let's go to Romans chapter 7, verse 12 to verse 25. Romans chapter 7, verse 12 to verse 25. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy and just and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? Elohim forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. He's a slave to sin. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. For I know that in me, that is, in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. For the good that I would do, for the good that I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do. Now if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of Elohim after the inward man. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank Elohim through Yahshua HaMashiach our Adonai. So then with the mind I myself serve the law of Elohim, but with the flesh the law of sin. Paul can be confusing sometimes. But he's letting you know, I'm still a flesh and blood man. I sin also. Even though Paul is an apostle, he's saying, I'm still a sinful man. Let's continue. Let's go to Romans 16, verse 17 and 18. Romans 16, verse 17 and verse 18. To verse 18. 17 and verse 18. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. And for they that are such serve not our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. So these people are captivated by the smooth words of these slicksters. And that's what these Christian pastors are, these black Christian preachers. They're slicksters. And they know exactly what to say to make you give up your money. Let's go now. How do we escape the slavery of sin? Let's go to John chapter 8, verse 31 to verse 32. John chapter 8, verse 31 and verse 32, through verse 32. Then said Yahshua to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then are you my disciples indeed. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let's continue. So the truth will make you free. You hear what he said there? He said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Free from what? Well, let's continue. I'm going to read down to verse 36. This is John chapter 8, verse 31 to verse 36. I'm going to continue that mindset. Then said Yahshua to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then are you my disciples indeed. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, you shall be made free? So you forgot about the slave man in Egypt then, didn't you? Just like black people today saying that they were never slaves to these white people. You got the same denial, and these people here and black people here in America saying that they were never slaves, that America belongs to them. Verse 34, Yahshua answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin, or the slave of sin. But the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. So, in other words, he said, if you believe in me, you shall be free. Let's let's go to 1 John 3 and 4 and define what sin is. Because most Christians do not know what sin is. Because they love saying, well, he died for my sins. Well, what does sin mean? Oh, well, commit adultery, that's sin. Killing somebody, that's sin. But that's not the whole story about sin. Let's see what the Bible says sin is that you are a slave to. Let's go to 1 John 3 and 4. 1 John 3 and 4. Let's see how the Bible defines sin. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresses also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. But you Christians say you don't have any more law. But why are you dying then? Sin is a transgression of the law. The law is still in effect. No matter what white people say, because white people started that lie, saying you're not under the law anymore. The law been nailed to the cross. White people said that. The Bible does not say that. You know why white people say it? Because they didn't receive the law in the first place. They never received the law. Only we received that law. The children of Israel. We are not black people. We're not Africans. We are the children of Israel. And we keep Yahweh's law. We fear our God, and we keep his commandments. Because what is written, the commandments is our whole duty. So again, keep in mind what the Bible is saying and quit listening to religious leaders because Yah would not choose them to lead his people. Let's go to 1 John 2, verse 15 to verse 17. Again, we're looking at how to escape slavery, right? This is 1 John 2, verse 15 to verse 17. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of Elohim abideth forever. Now, why is the world so sinful? Well, they say, lust not the world, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Why? Because who is ruling the world right now is Satan. Why do you think we have so much death and destruction, wars and diseases and sicknesses? Because of Satan. Satan is the prince of this world. He's the god of this world. Now, we're not talking about the creator of the world. We're talking about he who runs the different aspects of life in the world. The only way you can escape the temptation of Satan is to keep these commandments. Being baptized in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach covers our previous sins. Let's look at Romans chapter 3, verse 21 to verse 26. All right. I think we'll make it. Romans chapter 3, verse 21 to verse 26. But now the righteousness of Elohim without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Did you understand what he just said here? Because it sounds a little confusing. Because in the previous Romans chapter 7, he says the law is holy, just, and good. But here he says, but now the righteousness of Elohim without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. How can you have one, then have another? You say, one you don't have to keep, and another you have to keep. Well, again, we're still referring to the animal sacrifices. So what he's saying is, but now the righteousness of Elohim without the animal sacrifice is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets, even the righteousness of Elohim, which is by faith of Yahshua HaMashiach unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of Elohim, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in the Mashiach Yeshua, whom Elohim has set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of Elohim. To declare, I say, at this time, his righteousness, that he might be just, and the justifier of him which believeth in Yeshua. So understand what he said here. You can escape the slavery, the enslavement of sin by getting baptized in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach for the remission of sins and the forgiveness of your transgressions. But that doesn't mean you stop being sinful. You're still going to sin because you're flesh. But at least your past sins have been washed away, and now you can start life all over again. But this time you are aware of what sin is, because now you've read the law. I'm not talking about Christians here. I'm talking about the children of Israel here in America. I'm talking about those people that believe in Yahweh and his laws and commandments, and believe in Yeshua HaMashiach. They have understanding. Christians do not have understanding. They have the Bible, but they cannot read it. Because what I just read in here thus far, in this hour, they've never read that. They say this is a Christian Bible, but have you heard me read anything that pertains to Christianity yet? There's nothing Christian about this Bible. They've been deceived by the adversary of the devil. Let's go to 1 Peter 3, verse 21 and verse 22. 1 Peter 3, verse 21 and verse 22. The like figure whereunto even baptism doth also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward Elohim by the resurrection of the Yeshua HaMashiach, who is gone into heaven and is on the right hand of Elohim, angels and authorities and powers being made subject unto him. Now, the baptism doesn't stop you from thinking sinful thoughts. Again, you are still flesh. So, but what it does is give you a conscience of Yahweh to let you know that what you just did is sinful. Why? Because now you know the law. You cannot worship Yahweh without knowing the law. So the white people have come into this whole thing of the believing in the Messiah by faith. But they were warned by James not to transgress all of Yahweh's law in their presence. Don't eat blood, don't worship idols, don't eat things that are strangled. All those things white people were commanded not to do. Today, they do it anyway. But that's to their own destruction. Because not one apostle had ever called himself a Christian in the Bible. Not one. But because Christians don't know that, they assume that everybody in the New Testament called themselves Christians. You assume that without even reading it. Let's continue. Let's go to 1 John 1, verse 8 to verse 10. 1 John 1, verse 8 to verse 10. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us. Now, let's compare sin to the enslavement of black people here in America. it was such a brutal and terrible thing to go through for our people that they had to escape out of America to somewhere else. They tried everything in the book to get out of America because of the way the white Christians treated them. Again, these are white Christians. So they, as I mentioned before, they came up the Underground Railroad. They had people singing songs of deliverance while they were working in, black people working in the field. They were singing those, what they call those old Negro spirituals, but they were code to let them know that an escape is in the plans. But they sang those songs. Let's go to Romans chapter 5, verse 12 to verse 21. It was a terrible thing here in America for Yahweh's people to go through, but they were warned by Moshe, if you don't keep these commandments, what happened to us in America is going to happen to our fathers. This is Romans chapter 5, verse 12 to verse 21. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no law. If there's no sin, well, there is no law. Simple. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moshe, even over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come. But not as the offense, so as also is the free gift. For if through the offense of one many be dead, much more the grace of Elohim and the gift by grace, which is by one man, Yahshua HaMashiach, have abounded unto many. And not as if it was by one that sinned, so is the gift. For the judgment was by one to condemnation, but the free gift is of many offenses unto justification. For if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness shall reign in life by one, Yahshua HaMashiach. Therefore, as by the offense of one, judgment came upon all men to condemnation, even so by the righteousness of one, the free gift came upon all men unto the justification of life. For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so by the obedience of one shall many be made righteous. Moreover, the law entered that the offense might abound, but where sin abounded, grace did much more abound, that as sin hath reigned unto death, even so might grace reign through righteousness unto eternal life by Yahshua HaMashiach our Adonai. But again, you cannot escape the temptation of this flesh. So what do you do about the temptation of the flesh? Read the law. Let me show you an example of that. Let's go to Luke chapter 4 and see how Christ dealt with the temptation of the flesh. And Yahshua, being full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan, and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil. And in those days he did eat nothing, and when they were ended, he was afterward a hunger. And the devil said unto him, If thou be the Son of Elohim, command this stone that it be made bread. Yahshua answered him, saying, It is written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of Elohim. Where is that written at? In the law. The devil will tempt you to commit sin, but you have the law to escape from the temptation of the devil. And the devil taking him up into a high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, All this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will give it. If thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine. And Yahshua answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship Yahweh thy Elohim, and him only shalt thou serve. Where is that written at? In the part of the book y'all said had been done away with, so that means you are being tempted by the adversary of the devil. And you have no defense because you have no law. Now, again, we're going to remind you that you can escape the wiles of the devil by keeping these commandments. Because look at what's happening in America today. You got homosexuality running rampant. You have men marrying men and women marrying women. They are mutilating little boys and girls, turning little boys into girls and little girls into boys. Why? Because Satan's in this country with a big foot. He's tempting white people, and especially black people, to commit sin. And they think because they're Christian, they have protection from the God of Christians. So you're in the midst of sin and don't even know it. If you're a Christian, and see, you think you're going off to heaven, it's not written in the book anywhere that when a Christian dies, they're going off to heaven. So you can't escape the lies of Christianity. Because Christianity is a slave man's religion. So he can't escape Christianity unless Yahweh show him how to escape Christianity. Or any religion for that matter. Islam or Judaism, Yahweh can show you how to escape that. Because, again, Christianity is what enslaved black people, and they're still slaves today, and they can't break free. Because it's a mental slavery. It's a spiritual slavery. And so they don't want to leave Christianity. They don't want to leave Islam because they are slaves to another man's religion. And they don't know how to leave it because they don't know who their God is. Black Christians worship the white man's God. Black Muslims worship the Arab God. Where is your God? I keep asking them, where's your God? Because you're slaves to these other people. At one time, the Muslims had you as slaves. And right now, the Christians have you as slaves. You cannot escape slavery practicing a religion. Because you're still slaves. But the difference is, you are slaves without knowledge. You have no knowledge. So you have no choice but to always remain a slave. So if you want to be free from slavery, read the Bible. It'll tell you how to be free. Because right now, you are at the whim of white Christians, and they can do to you what they want to do. They have always done to you what they wanted to do. They plan on destroying you. White people are planning on destroying you. Now, why is that? You worship their God, but they still want to destroy you. Why? What did you do for them to want to destroy you? You didn't do anything. Because they worship Satan, and Satan is telling them to destroy black people. And that's what's being done. And you're stuck in America. You want to stay here in America, but they want to kill you while you stay here. I'm going to stop here. Thank you for joining us. Join us next week. Yahweh willing, we'll have another Beyond the Surface program. Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah.